Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming on what has been a very, very short notice to all of you, and we appreciate very much your quick response. Let me reiterate what I've said at the end of the basketball season. We had a great run through the tournament, and I want to again recognize the job that Cuonzo Martin did as our head basketball coach and that his staff did, making the contributions that they collectively did in order for us to end with a very memorable basketball season. Cuonzo Martin is an outstanding person. He was a terrific role model for our student athletes, specifically our men's basketball players. And I know I and everybody connected with our athletics department and university wish him nothing but success at Cal. I would be happy now to, in just a few moments, to try to answer questions you might have. Obviously, we will immediately get into a national search seeking a replacement for Cuonzo as our head men's basketball coach. No searches are ever identical in nature. I said this when we were in a football search. That's just a statement of fact. And we will move as quickly as we can, as quickly as we reasonably can, to get a replacement on board. But what the timetable is oftentimes difficult to nail down. We're late in the sense that we're right on top of signing day and the Final Four has come and gone. But we will immediately get in now to that search process. So let me just open it up for your questions. Rick? I did not know Cuonzo was involved in the California job until this morning. And we did have a conversation. He was very emotional. And bottom line, Rick, is he said that in his heart he believed that this was best for he and his family. John? When we returned from the tournament, we got in that Saturday afternoon, and as soon as the bus was unloaded, Cuonzo and I spent about an hour and a half in my office talking about the future, and he knew beyond the shadow of a doubt that we wanted him to remain here. We offered Cuonzo a significant reward for what he had accomplished, and that obviously is available, will be available at your request to all of you, but we offered Cuonzo close to a $500,000 raise and a 2-year extension. So that part had already been addressed. He would have been at $1.8 million with a 2-year extension. Jimmy? The buyout would have been $1 million, Jimmy, and in this industry, you guarantee money on the front end when you hire someone. And Cuonzo took over a tough situation that he inherited when he took this job. But typically, the risk is at the beginning. The risk is not in your 4th, 5th, or 6th year. So traditionally, that buyout goes down. For matter of fact, Cuonzo's buyout next year would have been $850,000. But what we had packaged for him was the buyout would have been $1 million. Not from my perspective, Jimmy. It's a fair question, Brent, in the sense that I didn't put a specific, hey, I got to have this tomorrow type of a timetable on it. So I wanted him to have time. I don't think, one man's opinion, I don't think Cuonzo's decision was driven by dollars or was driven by necessarily number of years. I don't. It was a tough year. And again, I don't want to speak for Cuonzo. It was a tough year for Cuonzo and Roberta. There were a lot of distractions. You know what they were. You reported on them. Pretty tough for those young men, and I've talked to them, and they have unsolicited as the end of the year was progressing, made comments how tough that was. It was a tough situation. John? Well, I don't have any problem moving forward. We'll hire. There'll be interest, and we'll hire the very best person that we can. I don't think there are issues in that regard. What we offered Cuonzo would have made him a top 30 coach in the country.
So are there any resolution yet of what will happen to the buyout funds of University of Tennessee for leaving, or will that be negotiated?
No, it won't be negotiated. That's part of the contract. I don't know, and again, only Cuonzo can speak to that.
Then we talked about the passion of the fan base. In this case, what happened this year wasn't misguided. Was this part of the reason why all of the teams, et cetera, why Cuonzo maybe stepped back and said, hey, this is
Again, Rick, I have too much respect for Cuonzo to speak for Cuonzo, so I don't know. I really it wouldn't be appropriate for me to speculate on what's in his heart or what he's thinking. But again, we hope he'll continue to be very successful in this new opportunity. No, I think this is an extremely attractive job. We have history, we have tradition, we have one of the finest venues in the country to play college basketball. So no, I'm not concerned about that. Jimmy? I had an opportunity just an hour and a half, 2 hours ago at the most, to meet with our team and to talk to them. And you know, I've been through this scenario a number of times, and it's always very difficult because the players are always very emotional. They become very attached to the head coach for all the reasons you would expect. So that's always hard to visit with those young men. We also reached out to the 4 prospects and tried to reassure all of them, Jimmy, that, you know, we know it's tough. You're 17 to 22 years old, and you get a surprise. They did not expect that we would be dealing with a transition today. So that's difficult for them, and we've reassured them that we understand that my door's open, John Gilbert's door's open, that they should come to us, call us. We've got all their numbers. They know how to reach us, that we'd be happy to have those conversations with them, and to the extent possible, keep them in the loop of the search process. In terms of the timing, what's going on, we won't talk about candidates, those types of things, but it's a tough day for the young men who are involved in this transition. It's a tough day for the families. And you've heard me say this when we went through the football transition. John? And that's a good question too, John. You know, we'll go into the search process with a very similar profile that we discussed when we were in the football process. Now, again, we would seek as a priority someone with head coaching experience. That does not eliminate people. It just says that is our initial priority. We're looking for track record. You've heard me talk about this. You don't always end there. Perhaps at the end of the day, we don't attract someone with a significant track record. Perhaps we attract a rising star. I don't know. All that is hard to forecast. But to answer your question, John, you know, the rising star is different in terms of the financial package than the person with an outstanding track record. I'm looking for somebody who's a winner, somebody who's won where they've been, and you just don't know until you conclude the process what you're going to be looking at in terms of your priorities and who rose up. You know, you could be sitting in front of somebody that maybe is not the number one target, but they come across as so impressive that you know that, hey, this is the person. And you've heard me talk about this. I think fit's important. I've always felt that in my entire career. I think fit is critically important, and we'll look for a person that we deem to be a very good fit. Yes? Yes, I think we both thought that at that time, Ben, and that's a fair question. Yes, I mean, today is also a surprising day for me. I did not think that we would be back into to where we find ourselves today. And Cuonzo said it, and he meant it. We have a phenomenal fan base, and you've heard me say this many times. Give me the passion. We have a very passionate fan base, and I think Rick was the one that said earlier, can passion sometimes be misdirected? Sure, it can at times, but we're very, very blessed with a really passionate fan base. Brent? Well, I never, I would, and again, me, Brent, and all of you do by now, but I would not share conversations that I've had with any coaches. But we had a great relationship, and we had a very open relationship, and the dialogue was very consistent. So we talked about everything, good, bad, indifferent, and that's what you should have in terms of AD to coach dialogue. Well, I don't know that, in terms of the geography would be critically important. I do think I think any time you're in a search process, knowledge of not only the game you're coaching, but knowledge of the environment, the conference, that what's going on nationally is always important. But go ahead. Yeah, I don't have any concern about that being a problem. Yes, Jimmy? No, I've never, I want to build a relationship with the head coach, and the coaches know this. In my mind, agents talk to attorneys about language and so on, but I'm not coaching Buddy Baker or any other agent, or I'm not working in a AD coach relationship with agents, so my conversations were not extensive at all, nor have they been throughout my career with agents. No, right, I would think we would not have a search firm, Jimmy. Yes. Yeah, I addressed that earlier. We met with the team maybe an hour and a half ago. No, we fully expect those young men to be a part of our basketball program. And again, tough time for everybody in terms of the current players and those signees, because right now there's a void for them, and that's difficult to handle. It'd be difficult to handle for any of us, even more so for young people. We're not even in any of those conversations, Ben. Right now, we've got a lot to do, and we'll deal with various elements within the process as they come along. John. Same way I've done it my entire career, John. And I know people in the basketball industry that I trust and respect. I'll talk to some of them, and then I'll reach out personally to candidates. One time, and it's tough. That was in July, if you can imagine. So yeah, I mean, it makes it harder, makes it tougher, but it is the timing is what it is, and you deal with it and you move forward. Well, that was just a case of a coach taking a job in July. In the criteria, as I mentioned earlier, the profile is very similar. From my perspective, you look for the track record, as I said. You look for somebody who can recruit. our lifeblood is recruiting in all of our sports, and that's always been. When you go into a process like this, you want to be sure that the person you're hiring is an outstanding recruiter. You also want a person that brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm, because transitions aren't easy, regardless of the circumstances that may have brought you into a transition. They're difficult. So you want somebody with knowledge of the game, and you want somebody who can attract a very high-quality staff. I mean, just consider your own jobs. If you don't surround yourself with high-quality people, you're not gonna separate yourself. So those are some of the qualities, and those are the same qualities that I articulated prior to the hiring of Butch Jones in our football search. Okay, thank you all.